Hi everyone, let's try to understand what is throughput. The amount of request your system as a whole can serve is called throughput. What do I mean by that? Let's try to understand with an example. Let's say when Facebook was launched back in 2004, right? So it was designed for the student of Harvard's, right? Can I say that at a given amount of time, Facebook might be getting around 500 requests per second, right? Can I say that if Mark Zuckerberg wanted to serve 500 requests per second, he can put a server, that can handle, let's say, 5,000 requests per second. So can I say that this particular server is running 10% of its capacity? Agreed? Now, let's say he opened the application for the entire, let's say, United States. If he has opened the application for the entire United States to register, can I say that number of requests will increase? I'm assuming that now the number of requests will increase to, let's say, tenfold in the initial days, or let's say 20x. So if number of requests increase by 20x, can I say that he will be getting around 10,000 requests per second? Now, the server which he has kept is able to handle only 5,000 requests per second, and the number of requests which he is getting is around 10,000 requests. Do you think that this particular server will be able to handle the 10,000 requests per second? No, right? The server will crash. Now, what's the solution for this? The solution for this is bring the more powerful machine. If you bring the more powerful machine, that means the number of requests that particular server can handle, let's say it's around 15,000 requests per second, right? This is nothing but when you improve the hardware of your system, it is called vertical scale. Okay. Now, the number of requests is 10,000 and the server is able to handle 15,000 requests per second. Can I say that the server will be able to handle that particular load, right? Let's say it become popular in the US. Once it has become popular in the US, the number of requests will increase subsequently. Now let's say it is getting around 50,000 requests per second. Now, if Facebook is getting 50,000 requests per second, what you have to do now? You have to bring the machine which can handle, let's say, 60,000 requests per second or 100,000 requests per second. If you're doing so, can I say that you're increasing your hardware capacity, right? Let's say, just an assumption. Initially, it was having around, let's say, 8 GB of RAM. If you increase its capacity by 3 times, it will be having around 24 GB of RAM, correct? Now, you want to handle 50,000 requests per second. So what you're doing, at least you need 10x of 10 GB, 8 GB, right? And of course, you will, when you're purchasing a hardware, you will leave the scope for the future increase in load. So can I say that you will buy the hardware which can handle around 100,000 requests per second? If you do so, can I say that you will increase your hardware capacity by 20x? That means your new system will be having around 160 GB of RAM. Now, if your system is having around 160 GB of RAM, what do you think? Does this particular server would be a cheap buy thing, or will it be an expensive thing to buy? It will be an expensive thing to buy, right? So there is second solution. What is that? Instead of using one server, you can use multiple servers. What do I mean by that? Let's say the number of requests initially you were getting 500, right? And you have the server which can handle 5,000 requests. It was working in its 10% of its capacity. And can I say that single server is more than enough? Now, the number of requests increased to, let's say, 15,000. Instead of bringing the machine which can handle this 15,000 requests. What you did, you added 4 such server which can handle 5,000 requests each. So can I say that total number of requests it can serve is 20,000? You're getting 15,000. Server is running its 75% of its capacity, and you're, instead of using one server, you're using 4 such server. Now let's say load increased to 50,000. Load increased to 50,000. What you did now, instead of using a single system, you're using 20 such server which can handle 5,000 requests per second. That means your server can handle 100,000 requests per second, and instead of using one machine, you're using 20 such machine. And can I say that it will be running in its 50% of its capacity? Now, how this request will be distributed among all the server, it's a separate topic. We'll definitely discuss about it. Now, in order to distribute the load among all the server, there is a concept called load balancer. We'll discuss in the next video. I hope the idea of this particular video is to understand what is throughput. Throughput is nothing but the amount of requests your system as a whole can serve. So I get the definition, but what's the point of understanding the term throughput? Understand that whenever you're designing a system, you're not designing it for a single day, right? You're designing it by keeping the scope, what will happen over the years. So, for example, let's say a Uber application would have been designed. If they would have designed just by keeping that, it will be used in, let's say, New York. I'm not sure what's the first city where Uber has launched. I'm just assuming that it has started in the New York. Will it be able to achieve the scale that it is present in more than, let's say, 100 plus countries, right? So while designing the architecture, while thinking about it, they would have definitely thought about scale at which they will deal in future. I hope you understand what's the importance of throughput and what is throughput. That's it for this particular video. Thanks for watching. Hit the next button to continue learning, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.